Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dad and Buried podcast. My name is Mike. I'm your host, I'm your host,
West
aka
Coast.
Dad and Buried. This is my friend Pete, aka Pete.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does anyone call you Peter?
Sure.
Your wife calls you Peter.
Yeah. Different people call me Peter.
I think our friend Tim calls you Peter, maybe?
Only my friends call me Pete. So you're all my friends.
Thanks, guys.
Except for you, Mike.
Thanks, Pete. Well,
which is because you're my coast.
Guess I'll start calling you Peter then. I'm coast.
You're the coast
the
of
best
the most.
coast. The best coast.
Exactly.
All right, so this is the Dad and Buried podcast, which is an extension of the well-known Dad and Buried empire.
I think everybody
dadandburied.com is
yeah,
the obviously
on
they
the
do.
internet.
I'm fucking verified on Instagram.
Okay.
Twitter has closed the verifications. Otherwise, I think obviously.
Yeah. Were you part of the 200,000 accounts that they shut down supporting the
I'm
Chinese
actually
mainland?
I'm Russian
Okay.
actually, and they just think I'm a bot,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I'm on Facebook, Dad and Buried. Facebook.com/Dad and Buried, where I recycle a lot of the material you've already seen on my other platforms.
It's a wonderful cycle.
It is. It's an ecosystem, as we discussed fairly recently on something that's actually a lot longer ago than people listening to this realize.
Yeah.
We're doing 2 tonight, and this is the first one we're doing. It's airing second.
It's going to
It's blowing
air a little
Pete
while.
and Nate's mind.
It's a little like the show Dark, right?
It is
now.
a lot like the
If
show
you've
Dark.
seen
Very
Dark.
confusing, and my mom is also my niece. That's if you watch Dark, you'll get it.
Also, if you know anything about you also get it.
yeah. Well, I'm from
really?
Arkansas.
Yeah,
No
okay.
offense, especially to one of our loyal commenters, California, Arkansas, who is either from Arkansas and now lives in California, or is from California and now lives in Arkansas.
We don't know.
We don't know. We'll find out. Anyway, look. If you haven't guessed by now, I'm hilarious, and Pete is here, and I do a lot of funny shit on social media where I make fun of my children and parenting because
funny.
parenting sucks.
It does.
We love our children.
That's what we come
We hate
together on.
parenting,
That's
right?
what
We do.
come
That's the
together
one thing we have in common.
Yep.
That and our striking good looks. Very different.
And our
like
children.
a yin and
And
yang
our
thing with our
common
looks.
children.
I'm dark, you're light. You're
Right.
taller. How tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Oh, wow, you are
Yeah.
significantly taller than me.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
What
I'm
are
proud of you.
Five,
I'm
5'2"?
5'11", bitch.
5'2"?
Watch it. Top 5'2". That's my wife.
Well,
No, my wife's 5'5".
I
That's my
can't-
mom, 5'2".
Okay.
Nothing my wife loves more than when I accidentally confuse her for my mom. She loves it.
You know, especially when you
It's her
call
kink.
her mom.
It's one of her favorite kinks.
Yeah, she's like,
I have accidentally called her mom.
and that's begun.
No,
a
it's more like where I've
beautiful
said where I'm referring
conversation.
to her as I'm trying to say my wife, but I'm saying my mom because let's be honest, they serve the same purpose.
Okay.
At this point, you switch
As
from one to
long-
the other.
As long as you don't call her my mommy,
My
I
mommy,
think
nope,
you'll be all right.
you wouldn't. I wouldn't do that.
I don't
That's
think.
not
Actually, I
kinky.
take that back. You're not all right. You're fucked both ways. But when you call her mommy, you're really
You're really screwed. No,
in
that's
dark
the end of the
water.
line.
Yeah.
The end.
It's time to get out.
Yeah,
Time to
you're
get
right, and I will piss off Nigeria because I did a tweet once where I said grown adults who call their parents mommy and daddy freak me out, and it got picked up by a very popular like Nigerian Twitter, Instagram account, and it's like a cultural thing. Like they're thinking like the mommy, papi, or something like that. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I wasn't.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
yeah.
I was
No one gives a-
specifically insulting white people. I wasn't insulting the Nigerians, and I understand there are cultural differences. But white people who are like 50, because I saw a woman at like a Nordstrom's say to her, like a 50-year-old woman say to her like 75-year-old mom, "Hey, mommy, how do you like this dress?" And I just like threw up in my mouth. I'm like, this is weird.
So instead, you took to Twitter and insulted Nigeria.
That's what I do, right? And that's why I'm
what a
fucking
beautiful
verified
world.
on Instagram.
God. Okay. All right. So let's move this along.
Let's
what else?
move this
What
along.
else we
So
got?
you can hear me talk my shit
wonderful.
on this podcast on a weekly basis. You can subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcast, Overcast, I'm guessing.
None of those last three, or you made them all up.
Google, I thought Google Podcast
Google Cast?
existed. But you can Google, there's a Google thing.
There's a Google. There is a Google. Good point. Hey, so we're this is a technology blog.
It is.
And,
Well, no, our 250th episode is all tech.
Yeah.
All the time.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can subscribe anywhere you listen to your podcast. We really need your reviews and your ratings because we want to continue to be popular so
If
that
you
we
like
don't have
us
to do real jobs.
and you'd like to support us, you can give us ratings. That's the free way to do it. Of course, we'd love.
You're staring
to
at
hear
me
it.
because
Yeah.
what you're doing is you're coaching me
That's
to say
correct.
these things.
'Cause
If you
what you're
like
doing-
us and you'd like to
I'm
support
trying
us,
to bring us back from Nigerian
we're
horrible
already back.
tweeting.
Now you're bringing us back to something that made you uncomfortable. You're screwing it up.
I'm not making
we were
us
past it.
uncomfortable. Oh my god.
We were past it.
All right.
No one had a problem with that. I love my Nigerian followers.
Look,
have a problem I do. I don't.
They have a problem with you.
I worked with a dude from Nigeria, one of the best coders I've ever worked with.
Okay.
Shout outs to that guy whose name I can't remember. Actually, I can't remember. I'm just not positive he's from Nigeria, and I don't want to be wrong. All right. So, Apple, Spotify, Overcast. I'm guessing Overcast is a thing.
Sure. Yep. It is. It's all a thing. We're a podcast, so you're listening to
anywhere
it,
you
so
want to listen. Anywhere you put stuff in
we're
your ear
just
holes, you
saying,
can find us. Give us a review,
help us out.
subscribe.
Exactly.
If you want to leave comments on specific episodes, you can go to YouTube. If you want to see what hip T-shirt I'm wearing, check it out on fucking YouTube. Today it's Miami Dolphins.
So again,
we're very excited
this
for
week,
our
maybe next
rebuilding
week.
year.
Yeah.
This year we're rebuilding on purpose. Usually we just lose because we suck. This year it's intentional. All right. So if you want to give us some money to help us go, we get
Support
Patreon.
us.
You can support us on Patreon. You can become a patron. You can subscribe and pay through Anchor. We even have a merch shop. shop.spreadshirt.com/dad-and-buried. No, it's not. Somebody was like, no, that's not correct. They're listening to this, not reading it. They need to know it's dad-and-buried.
Okay.
What is that?
Someone's phone is going off.
I think that might be mine.
Oh my God.
Take it over. I'm gonna go.
All right. So thank you. So Mike takes care of his phone. What type of ring is that? Oh my God. It's like the what is that? No, the angry. What kind of was that? Was that just a regular your iTunes?
That was my music. Yeah,
just turned on.
That was a song
no one was
by
calling
Beck
you.
off his album Guero.
Yeah, you know why? Because Beck was like, "This is a hot fucking mess."
Podcast. No, he was like, I got to take it over.
That's what he was saying. This is a hot podcast.
He was like, I want to be
He was like,
involved.
this is a fucking hot mess.
No, it's called
they
my
can't
fucking
even get
phone.
through. Just being like, hey, welcome to this podcast, and now we've already listened to Beck Guero.
People like
God
Beck. You know who
damn
doesn't
it.
like Beck? Mom and Buried. She hates Beck.
Really? That's
Yeah.
weird.
You know why I don't like
Is
Beck?
that
He's a
trouble?
Scientologist. Makes me uncomfortable.
I know, but his fucking music is.
I like
pretty
he's touring with one of my favorite bands right now, Spoon.
good. Okay. Listen,
Fun fact.
let's get people to help us.
So
Not
look,
hate
let's
us.
you know what? Calm down. Let's
Okay.
thank the people who are already helping
Yes,
us.
let's
all right?
bloody thank these people.
So if you don't know anything about Patreon, there are different tiers, and on different tiers you contribute different levels of contributions, and you get different levels of incentives. In our case, you get zero incentives because we're very lazy about it.
We're trying.
We're still building our empire, right? So our single dad tier, Chris Coleman, Miriam, a brand new
Yes.
patron. Thank you, Miriam. MS Babayan, who is actually contributes on Anchor, but has been very loyal for a very long time.
She's great.
On the dad bod tier, we got Barbara Geiger, a.k.a. Funky Fee on Instagram. Give her a follow. And Morning Glow, another new patron.
Welcome,
Thank
Morning.
you, Morning Glow. Father figure tier, Julie McCarthy, my old friend. Joseph Diachason, better known as Sarge, who is just an ultimate legend.
Sarge is
The
a
original OG.
he is
The
the
original OG. That's redundant. Paul Opolsky, who is new and quickly making a name for himself. Anna Rico, also new. Look at all these new people.
Yes.
People are appreciating what we do, and I appreciate them.
And we appreciate everybody.
World's greatest dad tier, Mary Williams, a mom party of two, and my new dad, Sarah, who
Sarah,
is
are you
just
kidding
an
me?
amazing
What
contribution.
an
Thank you,
amazing
Sarah.
person. Thank you.
We appreciate you. So look, we want to keep doing this. I don't have much else in my life that's worthwhile at all. My kids notwithstanding.
Right.
Um,
They're not standing anymore?
no, one of them is barely starting to, and the other one is regressing backwards to no longer
To
standing.
just like
I'm
on
a
the couch.
bad parent. Yeah, yeah.
Post summer.
They hit some milestones, and then
no
my
bones. Yeah.
parenting is so bad they
Yeah,
just
yeah,
go
yeah,
backwards. You can become a supporter. Look, we want your support any way you want to give it to us. We'd love reviews and subscriptions. If you want to throw us some cash, we appreciate that. We're putting stuff together. We're getting some stickers out there. We're
Yeah.
hoping to get some pint glasses and bottle openers. Spreadshirt.com has Ask Sarge. Reach out to Sarge. He's a fucking brand ambassador is what he is. He's got a mug. He got two mugs. One of them's in pieces because the shipping wasn't very good. But his other one, I assume, he's still drinking out of. Yeah. We appreciate anything and everything you can do. We're going to be having, hopefully, some contributions from other people for some guests and stuff. We're trying to improve our studio situation, which if you watched the live a couple of weeks ago, we gave you a little tour of it, and it's a bleak.
Yeah.
It's very hot in here.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
very,
wait
very
for
hot.
October.
Yep.
'Cause
Exactly.
because it's past my birthday, which I don't like to think about, and it will be cooler.
And we are going to get into parenting then versus
We're
now.
gonna
So
get into the difference
parenting
between
as
how
a-
your parents parented you versus how you
we-
parent your kids and how we parent our kids.
Yeah.
And how Pete and I parent our two kids, Greg with 3 G's and Gustavo. And Steven. You don't even know the names of our children.
Well, you know what? I'll get around to it.
It's fucking fucked up.
All right.
All right, so
We'll
we'll
get
be
back
back
to
to hit you up with that in just a few. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to be doing a little bit of the time warp this week. Let's do the time warp again. You know what that's from?
Yeah.
Let's do the time warp again.
That's from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Congratulations. I hate it.
Do you?
I trapped you into knowing what it was just so I could say, I think that thing sucks. No.
Just
my
'cause
wife loves it. I don't think it sucks. I just don't care for it.
I think it's great. I think it's good.
Do you? You love it?
Richard
My
O'Brien.
wife loves it. Richard O'Brien. You're right about that. That's like he's in it.
And then he also became the Crystal Master in Crystal Maze. So
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I know
What's
you don't.
Crystal Maze?
But don't worry about it. People in England do.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I can't see what I've got to do.
Oh my god. Nobody needs that.
Yes, they do.
No one wants it.
They do in Australia and in England and anywhere.
Australia?
Yeah, we got.
Where's
listeners.
Australia come into this?
We got listeners. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, we do because I'm big in
two.
Perth. I was
Are
on
you?
West. I was in that Perth radio interview.
All right.
Yeah, I alienated a lot of people that day.
Big up Perth.
Big day for me. Big ups to Perth.
What do you mean you alienated people? Would you
Just
say
by
that?
being myself, I alienated
Oh
everyone.
yeah, people
You
in
know
Australia
this.
Like,
You've seen me in action.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I came in today and I said, "Hey Nate," and I said something shitty to Nate, and he said, "Is this how we're starting?" I'm like, "This is how we always start, my man.
Yeah.
I'm a shithead."
That's funny.
All right, so this week we're going to be talking about
Yeah.
parenting then versus now, which is essentially the way our parents parented us and the way parenting happened 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago versus the way we parent our kids
How
now.
old are you?
I'm pretty old.
Holy
I'm
shit.
very,
Okay.
I take
Yeah,
oil of
yeah.
Olay.
Yeah.
Versus how we parent now. And standards have changed. Trends have changed.
Yeah.
The world, you know what? The world has changed. The
Well-
world is a vampire. Billy Corgan said that.
Yeah.
So this has been a pet topic of my man
I'm
Pete's
into
here
this
for a
one.
while.
I'm
He's
kind of
really into
into
it.
this one
In fact,
because-
he put some somewhat disturbing notes at the top of
Yeah.
our notes for this one. So why don't you get into it,
All right.
Pete?
First of all, who remembers milk cartons with a child's photo on it?
Every single person who's seen an episode of Stranger Things.
Yes. Or who
Where's
grew
Barb
up? Who grew up?
from Stranger Things?
Oh yeah. Who grew up in the 80s and 90s? Yeah.
Yeah. It was
The
a
point
thing.
is children went missing.
That was before
literally
that was before milk went digital.
all the time. Yeah. The point is, it was way more. So everyone was like, "Oh, there was so much better back then." Guess what? People would go missing on a daily
this
basis.
is not true.
First of all, it is true. You know why? I drank a lot of milk. And damn,
A lot of different
son,
kids on those cartons.
God, every week it was
So
just like,
I have
who's this
so-
motherfucker?
Two things I want to get into here. First, I was terrified of being kidnapped as a child. It was like my number one fear.
Okay.
Right? I was, for whatever reason, I don't know.
Your personal fear or your mom's?
No, my personal fear. Like I had
Okay.
nightmares about being
Yeah.
kidnapped. I don't know why. Maybe because I saw the
'Cause your
Kate
parents
Nelligan
would,
Judd
like-
Hirsch classic Without a Trace, which
Would
is
they-
fantastic.
Would they like drop you off and like, no, keep going. It's
Yeah,
fine.
no,
Just
they
keep going
wanted
down
me
the
to get
block.
kidnapped. It
You're
never
fine.
worked out for
It's
them.
fine.
I wrote a meme
Talk to
about that.
guy over
I wrote a
there.
meme about that where I said, I keep reading about these kids getting kidnapped in the
Yeah.
news, and I'm like, why can't anything good ever happen to me? People got mad. That's mean. You want your kids to be kidnapped? No, I just want them to go away
Yeah,
for a
just
while.
for like a long
I don't want them
time.
to be
And
harmed.
be grateful when they come
and come back a different person, but like an adult and successful. So there's my other issue is I don't think it was more dangerous
Because that's
back
the
then.
only way they'll become a successful person.
Is if it
is
were-
a
to
stranger
escape my influence. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Well, let's be
delivers
honest.
them back. Yeah. No,
So
okay.
I don't think the world is more dangerous now. I think what happened is we have more access to information. The world is so flat. We hear and we hear instantaneously about every bad thing that
Well,
happens. That
exactly
we're more
right.
scared. It's not that the world's more dangerous.
I think that's that's what I was trying to get to, which is we know so much more now, right? We know first of all,
That's true.
Pluto is no longer a planet, right? The dinosaurs, we figured out that they died from a meteor.
From cigarette smoking.
Yeah.
From that Far Side comic.
You know, but also we have so much more information now, and the reason that I believe we are more of let's like attentive or what have you is because, or like, you know, helicopter parents. We
I
did
hear
an
what you mean.
episode on that.
I know what you mean.
Is because we're like, oh yeah, all the time people will get get abducted.
Our anxiety is heightened.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because of what
It's not healthy.
what we grew up with. Whereas our parents, what they grew up with was like, sure, come home
Everything
by
was fine. Who cares?
come home by Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly.
You
Well,
know
we're
what I
going to get
mean?
into that.
You're
Where
like,
the,
okay.
the freedom that we
See,
had.
and now it's like, where's Tommy?
Yeah.
If
I don't hear from you in 10 minutes, I'm calling the police.
Chill out. Meanwhile, I was at a restaurant the other day. Listen to this. I was at a restaurant the other day. This kid had I was at a Thai restaurant. This kid had a skewer with chicken on it. We were outside. This other couple had their dog there.
You told this fucking story
No, I
already.
didn't.
Yes, you did.
The
You told
kid-
this in one of our episodes.
Well,
And your
whatever.
sister went up or your daughter went up and was like being nice to the kid.
And then so I was like, the fucking parent was completely oblivious. It was so irritating because
Maybe that parent had traveled to the future from the 80s when they were less anxious.
Oh my God, maybe she's your aunt.
Maybe she is my aunt. Dark. Check it out on Netflix.
Yeah,
Season
it's
2
good.
available now.
It's German. It's dubbed, but you get over it.
It's not dubbed. It's subtitles. Did you watch it dubbed?
Yeah,
Holy shit. You watched it dubbed?
I didn't know there was another option.
What do you
to
mean?
that.
You read the subtitles.
No, it just came
The
on
dubbing
dubbed.
is so stupid.
I know, it just
I
came
tried to
on
watch it dubbed. It took me 5 seconds. I'm like, this is embarrassing. I'm switching to subtitles immediately. I can't bear this. And
Okay.
you didn't. You were like, I'm good with this.
I was like,
you
I don't
make me sick.
proud.
Well, sometimes. You know what?
All right.
Maybe if you don't repeat a story next time.
Anyway, I'm talking about parents watching their goddamn kids, and that never used to happen. And now,
So here's something even bigger.
We now as parents have a psychosis about where the fuck
Yes.
is my everything is like. Where are you going? What are you
we
doing?
have
What is
anxiety,
happening?
right.
We have anxiety because of all these stories of all the murdered children that we
Oh my
lived
God.
through with the milk cartons as we're trying to eat.
They weren't all
cereal.
murdered.
My God, most.
I have
of
a
them
question for you though. With the chicken satay ties,
are.
the skewers.
Yeah.
Here's the thing that happens a lot
Shoot.
these days, right? Is thank you.
Ask your question.
It's not so much that like the parents are paying attention. It's that right? Were there other parents who were like, somebody better fucking get that
the
kid?
owners of this young couple was sitting there with
The
their
owners,
dog.
I love it.
The owners of the dog had the
children.
dog on
Oh,
the
the dog.
leash, and the dog. It was a pet friendly place, and the dog was like way in the back. It was all fine, and this little piece of shit, which is the only way to describe him, comes
You're
over
talking about
with
the
this,
food or the child?
with the child.
Okay.
Goes over with a skewer, so the dog's confused because it's got food on it, but also it's sharp
It's a
and pointy.
sword.
So the kid sits down. The kid sits down and
Was it Pennywise?
no, well, I'm gender fluid, you know. So we sits down, and the kid, the couple doesn't know what to do. They're like
The couple who owns the
yeah,
dog.
they're like, you know, can you?
They don't wanna
not-
yell at
Can
the
you
kid.
not? First of all, they're like grabbing the dog, making sure the dog's cool. The dog's like lying down.
What kind of dog?
It was just like
Labradoodle?
No, it was like a regular
Dachshund?
kind of mix of some kind. I don't know.
It was a mutt. That's what they
indistinguishable.
call mixes.
Great. And so eventually, like, we're watching the scene, and my daughter's like, I'm like, oh my God. And my daughter's like, I got this. And she goes, takes the kid. I'm like, proudest moment, period, full stop. Walks this asshole kid with a skewer, chicken satay. Who lets a kid with a 3-year-old with a chicken satay skewer just like, oh, you're going to go over there? Okay, cool. I'll
But
see
you're
you
talking
later.
about but this is the thing. If it was your parents in the 80s, they would have fucking let you feed 100 dogs.
I know, but I kind
They
of
wouldn't
wish,
give a shit.
What I'm saying is most kids did not deserve to be on that milk carton. Couple.
That kid did. The kid with the
couple-
chicken satay skewer.
Couple, maybe.
Well, you know what?
I'm
I'm telling you, that's why I wasn't
that
kidnapped, because the
shouldn't-
kidnappers didn't want my ass.
There you go.
This kid's fucking annoying,
What
and
a-
he's very pessimistic, and I don't need
They
his
took
negative
one
attitude.
look at your ass, and they're like,
My
God damn.
ass. Ass is fucking
Well, also,
beautiful.
we also know more to your point about, like, we have all these apps, right? So when we moved into our neighborhood.
Hold on. You have this thing here. You said we have sex offender registration apps.
Yeah.
I don't have one of those. You have that on your phone? Am I a
looked it up.
bad parent because I don't have a sex offender registration app on my
You don't,
phone?
you don't even. It's not an app. You can
Nate
just look
is
it up.
nodding.
You
He
can just
thinks
look it
I'm-
up.
Yeah, but I have never done that. I don't need to know this.
Oh, yeah, you got to do it.
I don't need to know
You gotta
this.
do it. Well, as a parent, you probably should.
Too
You know what
much
I mean?
information.
Is
It's
it-
too
is-
much,
is
but
that
But you're
TMI?
but you're also saying
just
that all
kinda
this
like, well-
information is giving us anxiety. You were surrounded by
no.
sex offenders when you were a kid. You had no idea.
Honestly, I had a pretty good idea, Mr. Wilkins.
I bet. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm
Mine
saying?
was Mr. Haddon.
No.
No offense to Mr. Haddon's
I'm
family.
just
It was
trying.
lovely.
I was saying, like, the shorts I wore were intentionally tight.
You were just talking about my child ass. So who's the sex offender?
Listen, I'm not offended by anything you say.
You're the first.
So,
All right.
but you know what I mean? Like, now that we have all this information, we can look it up, and we're like, oh my God. And then so
It's
that,
TMI.
that now that adds to our anxiety, I guess.
TMI. It stands for.
But
you're
at
not
the
on
same-
social media. That
but
stands
at the
for
same time,
too
there-
much information.
Yes,
it's bad for us.
I get it. But I will say there is a park that our kids go to
I know it. I know
that
it well.
I know that there's actually a large population of people that are registered there, and
At the park?
No, they're
In the
they
area.
live near that area.
So when
and
you
it's
go to the
like,
park, you're like on alert. Do you have like mugshots? Do they include photos of the people?
What I do is when I'm on my phone for 40 minutes at a time, I'll make sure that whatever I'm reading or watching is really entertaining.
Yeah. So you're not worried.
Yeah,
You got to
so
take
I'm
yourself
not
out of the
worried. Yeah.
anxiety by watching some nonsense. Escapism.
And just let
Yeah.
and let my kids. And if I hear a car like beeping or like screeching to a halt,
You make sure
I'll
it's
like
not your
turn,
kid.
yeah, I'll just turn and be like, hey,
You're good.
who's that? Who's that?
So
No, I am more conscious.
I think it's funny though that you talked about you had this whole list of thing, more information on the sex offender thing, and you like highlighted that, and you're like really into talking about that, like chill, buddy. But you mentioned mobile phones had changed the game, so you would think, aside from all the information we get from mobile phones, you would think that like you can set they're like GPS trackers, right?
They
Like
are.
if your kid has a phone, you can follow them everywhere.
Yeah.
But
You can.
we're still don't give our kids anywhere near as much freedom, even though we basically have these digital yokes on them at all times,
yeah.
right? So the first topic I want to talk about, the way things have changed, is the safety topic, which you just kind of got into a little bit, right? Where parents were a little bit less concerned, I think, back in the 80s, and you're saying it was because they were ignorant.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, go and play, and then, but it was like that's when all the kidnapping was happening. Have you seen True Detective?
All the kidnapping I have, all 3 seasons.
Oof. You saw the second one?
Yes, it wasn't very good.
I heard this third
Big,
one.
I'm a big Rachel McAdams stan. The third one is
Stan?
good. Stan, you know what that means?
Nope.
You don't? You know the Eminem song Stan, where like the psycho keeps writing him letters? It just means like a diehard fan. And it took me a real long time to figure out that that's what Stan means. So if somebody says like you're a Rihanna Stan, I literally like responded to a tweet and I'm like, was Stan taken from the Eminem song? And it was.
Oh.
It's used all the time. Like if you're a diehard fan of something, they'll call you a Stan.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Right?
I'm in Afghanistan.
Oh, Nate.
That's
Come on.
weird. All right, so Audra Lovejoy wrote in that right now her dad, who is her kid's grandfather, is so overprotective of her kids. He's Mr. Safety, and he criticizes her for not being that way.
Oh, that's
but
weird.
when she was a kid, he was the total opposite.
He's
He
changed. in
didn't
his-
watch it all.
in his own
He
lifetime.
encouraged recklessness. You would think
He changed.
grandparents they become they're less
That's funny.
like they're more laid back.
Yeah,
they don't give a
exactly.
shit about having to do real parenting.
Yeah.
But this guy got more anxious.
How interesting.
Probably because he
Of all
has
the
a mobile phone.
information
Exactly. And he
out
watches
there.
Fox News and he knows there's a caravan
He's got
coming.
sex registration apps all over his
K
face.
Will 37. So this was funny. You got a lot of these where just some of the changing standards of safety. Whereas back in the day,
Oh, yes. This is
we
great.
used to just be you'd
The
sit in the
car.
car and you'd be rolling around on a road
Yeah.
trip. K Will 37 says her parents would put all the seats down to make a bed in the car
Yeah.
when they traveled.
Yeah.
Just to lay the back seat
I mean,
down.
that's
There's
such a
no-
good point.
No, that's not even
Car
a seatbelt
seats-
situation.
First of all, when we got our first real car seat, I got into an argument
When
with
you
my
were a
wife.
kid or when
no,
you
no,
were
no,
okay.
because they didn't have car seats when we were kids. So
Well, depends on when you were a kid, I guess.
Uh,
I don't remember having one.
yeah.
Right, so
So we got this thing, and it was a Graco. It was the biggest
Sponsor
thing
us.
I've ever seen in my entire life, and I was like, "What?"
and
fuck-
your kid's 12. So
no, my
it was,
yeah, no, my kid.
oh, no,
was-
I'm not saying. I'm saying it was kind of an
No, my kid
almost
was
an
a
early
was an
model of it.
infant. Was
They've
an
gotten
infant.
better.
So obviously we had the tiny baby one, right?
Yes,
the
obviously.
bucket. And then when we moved on to the next car seat, it was the biggest fucking thing
Yeah,
I've
the
ever
big-
seen,
yeah,
and
they're
it had all
enormous.
these loops and
There's like the
it
base that you have to
required
hook
an
in sometimes. Yeah, there's such a
engineering
pain in-
degree.
Getting them in and out is such a pain in the ass.
And I was like, what the hell is this thing? And I was like, well, this is the safest one.
Fuck
I was
safety.
like, fuck yeah. I was like, if this is what our freedom costs,
If he dies, he dies.
you know
right?
what? Exactly. Survival
Somebody
of the
said that
fittest.
you sound when you were doing your accents in a recent episode that you sounded like the guy from Despicable Me. And
Greg
right there
Kinnear?
when you said that, you did sound like him.
Oh, okay.
Did you hear the Greg Kinnear Mark Maron?
I did.
I did too.
That was quite good.
So Amanda Lynn 82 says bringing kids home from the hospital in your lap in the front
Oh my
seat because
God.
there were no car seats.
Right.
You're just driving home. When I brought my kids, so both of my kids were born in Manhattan, and we drove back like over the Brooklyn Bridge, Manhattan,
Yeah.
over the Brooklyn Bridge, and it is, especially when you have your first kid, it's nerve wracking to put the kid in the car.
Nerve-wracking.
To
You're
leave
like-
with your kid.
You're like, I'm leaving the hospital. Is everyone
Yeah,
okay with
exactly,
this?
right. Can
You're-
someone come with
yeah,
me,
you're
please?
like, you're going to a security guard.
Yeah.
You're like, dude, I should not be allowed to do what I'm about to do.
I
right
can't
now.
believe
I'm about
how
to
many
put
kids
this-
survive the walk out, the drive home,
God.
any of that, right? And that's
Oh, my God.
even with car seats. Back in the day, they didn't have them. And like Amanda said, she sat on her parents' lap in the front seat.
My God, my first 6
We're
kids
lucky
didn't make it.
to be alive.
Yeah.
Texas Margaret says car seats back then were all about ease of cleaning. They looked more like kids' bike seats.
Yeah, I'm sure they were just like little like extra
Hook 'em
like a
ups.
bar. or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Yeah. So I don't know how old Texas
Oh,
Margaret
and by
is.
the way, remember that seatbelt when you were 3 going right across your
Oh,
face
yeah,
and
it
just
hurt.
like cutting into
Yeah,
your
it
face?
hurt.
And
It
now
was
they have
painful.
like seat like
well, they didn't even
special
used to
thing.
have always the diagonal one. You just would sit with
Oh,
the,
yeah,
lap one, which
belt,
like
yeah.
they prove that you get paralyzed if you were in an
It
accident.
just fucks
You
up
need
even more.
the chest harness.
It's better to bounce around than it is to have one of those.
Paul Opolsky says seatbelts in the back were optional when he was a
Yeah,
kid.
totally.
They're still optional. Did I tell you my
Really?
my wife's dad doesn't believe in seatbelts?
Yeah, they're a government conspiracy. We all know
Obviously,
that.
like climate change. Ali Fraser 921 says there used to be no car seats. Now it's 5-point harnesses, which is what we were
5-point,
talking about. They're very
exactly.
complex, sophisticated systems.
How about come wintertime? You know what's super fun is putting on a 5-point
Oh my God!
harness
There's over a
on
winter
a
coat.
fucking
I
winter
hate
coat.
that.
Oh,
So
your
then you
glove,
loosen
your
it, and
glove
then
is
you
caught.
loosen
Your
it.
glove is caught. Just fucking.
But
rip
then
that
you
thing
loosen
off.
it so they fit because they're not screaming. And then
Yeah.
a couple of weeks later, it warms up, and you're like, "I'm not tightening this shit." Guess what? You're riding
Saggy.
it loose.
You're riding sag.
Exactly. And then you post a picture on Instagram, and you get 500 fucking
Yeah.
comments saying your goddamn fucking car seat isn't buckled correctly. You know how much that happens? Somebody
0
once
for
messaged me and said, "Good work on the car seat buckle placement," and I was like, "You fucking ain't right.
Yeah,
I did it."
yeah,
Validation from the trolls.
yeah.
All right, so Ari Lindp, ARYLNDP, I don't know how to pronounce that. Ari Lindp says that they use lawn chairs and bungee cords in the
Yeah.
back of the van as seats for her and her friends, or he and his friends.
I remember distinctly traveling around in the back of a pickup, just like sitting there,
Rolling around,
rolling
like
around,
like in
Yeah,
Red
yeah,
Dawn,
yeah.
where you're running out of
Yeah,
the Russians
yeah.
and somebody jumps in the back.
Exactly. That was
Yeah.
actually
Nate knows what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Not
Yeah.
the Chris Hemsworth version. Let's be
Nah,
honest.
come on, the
So,
good
do you
version.
remember? I never thought this was so cool when I was a kid. A couple of the parents in my neighborhood had Volvos, and
on the backwards seats.
Volvos had the backwards seats in
Oh,
the
I think
back.
there was a
I'm not
couple
saying that
ones.
wasn't
There was like the Buick, I think. Had
maybe
a
whatever. I
station
just remember the
wagon had
Volvos,
the
right?
backwards
I don't even
seats was
remember
great.
if there were car seats involved. I think the kids were probably too old at that point, but it seemed really cool. It was like you're in the back of a bus all of a sudden. It
Exactly.
seemed really
was
cool for some
and
reason.
you were facing backwards.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then you could like make faces.
You can give
and,
fingers
like,
to.
communicate.
Once I got in trouble, so we're in a school bus. We were in the back of the bus.
Bag of
And
fingers.
me and one of my oldest friends, Patrick, who I've known since second grade, gave the finger to like a couple. We were in the bus, right? And gave the finger. Or some. We were fucking around with some people driving behind us. They followed us to school, and we were really nervous. So we like switched jackets, but we switched jackets with each other, I think, and we were the two offenders. I don't remember if we got caught. It just sounds really dumb.
Yeah, it definitely
Anyway,
does.
so we should have been disciplined for that, and it's just funny. That's called a segue because now we're
Right.
going to get into how discipline has changed.
Yeah.
You like that, Nate?
Yeah, yeah.
Nate appreciated that fucking segue.
Discipline is all about. We're all about timeouts now.
Do you
right?
lack?
It's all about.
Do you lack a discipline?
We're all about.
Rack.
Do you lack? Do you? I'm trying to do
we
Arnold
doing this?
Schwarzenegger, and I'm doing some weird
Yeah,
Southern
I
thing.
know.
Who is your daddy, and
Yeah,
what
what
does
does
he?
he do?
I'm very bad at accents.
So
So K Will 37, who already spoke earlier, look at that second appearance, says her parents, I assume her mom, would spank with a handmade wooden board.
handmade.
Handmade.
That's like that. Someone took time.
I
to
made
just kinda
it's
like
like
a
in
cut.
Dazed
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Confused. They
Yeah,
made the
yeah,
paddle.
exactly.
Um,
But just imagine like a Vimeo with like slow motion, just kind of slowly making your
yeah, just like
discipline
just
weapon.
dreaming
You
of
know what I
smashing
mean?
your kid's
It's
ass.
like, just like blowing the sawdust. off.
Strawberry blonde, although it's spelled strawberry. It's hard to explain. Strawberry blonde said her parents would threaten her with a wooden sandal.
Wooden sandal.
It's like a clog.
gotta
I think
get-
she's. She didn't say, but I'm assuming
have to
she's
wear
Dutch
it. You
and
have
from
to
the
wear it.
Netherlands.
You have to wear it.
So, hold on. Somebody else thought this the same thing.
Oh, she then goes on to say talking to kids. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what she meant by that. Talking to our kids at their level, which I think was she was saying that parents these days act like children are equals.
Exactly,
where
exactly.
back in the
We're gonna
day
get
it was
into
like
that
my
too.
way
Yeah,
or the
we'll-
GD highway.
Yeah.
Mother effer, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
the
used
Greg Daniels Highway.
the
Yeah.
Greg Daniels highway, the creator of The Office.
Right.
So my mom used to have a wooden spoon and even a plastic spoon, and she would chase us around and hit us with it.
Yeah.
Me and the boys.
She'd hit.
The boys are back in town. Me and the rest
Yeah.
of Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We did. We talked.
Yeah,
about
it
this
hit us
before.
on the top of the head or smack us in the butt.
Top of the head. Jesus Christ. I used to get.
You got a problem with my mom's tactics? Have you seen how I turned out?
Yeah, I know that.
Fucking
That's where
top
that
notch.
That's where that comes.
No,
from.
you know where? So I have a weird. This is a total aside. I have a weird hairline, like
Yeah.
in the middle of my head, because when I was a kid, I don't even fucking know why you would have something like this. We had like an electric shoe polisher that you could like hold. I think that's what it was. And my older brother, Mark, who's 10 years older than me, had it and somehow fucking got it caught in my hair and like fucking ripped out. I don't know. I was probably like 4 or 5.
Way.
Yeah.
And it ripped your hair
And
out?
sometimes the barber will be like, "What's up with like your weird hairline or your parts ain't right or some
Yeah,
shit?"
yeah.
I don't remember it at all. Fucking, I don't even know who has a
Oh my
fucking
God,
handheld
he made you
shoe polisher
permanently.
thing.
Yeah, he made you.
You know what?
m-
I
male
blocked it
pattern
out.
baldness
I
permanent.
blocked it out.
Oh my God!
Another
so
funny
just
thing,
then?
we were talking about
But
safety.
That's not really discipline related. But your mom,
I told you it was a total aside.
Okay. Well, I thought.
Did I
Jesus
not?
Christ.
Did I not? I mean,
but
I
then your mom.
prefaced
But
it.
then your mom would hit you in that same.
My mom would hit me,
spot
yeah, right
just to
then. Yeah.
spite
No,
you.
there was nothing
Just to
lingering.
fucking, like Satanist.
So hold on, we're gonna go back to safety and like car seats and
Oh,
stuff, right?
man.
So we had a Buick when I was a little kid, and in the back seat of the goddamn Buick, there were not only ashtrays, there were fucking live lighters
Yeah.
where you could push the lighter down
Yeah.
to ignite it,
Yep.
and you pull
Pop
it
it
in
up.
the back fucking seat.
And then you could put it
Where
on
the
each
kids
other's
are.
leg. Yeah, yeah.
So one time, I was a very bright kid. One time, I'm like, hey, nobody in my family smokes. This thing ain't working, except I pushed it in. And then I
the
picked
car
it out,
exploded.
and I pushed it on my own thumb.
Oh my God.
And I remember looking at it and being like, hey, it's red.
I
I don't know where we were going,
Yeah.
but we pulled over to the Basiletti's house, which was like a family friend. Like my brother was friends with
show
Matt
them.
Basiletti,
Yeah.
and I was friends with Joanne,
Yeah.
and there was another one.
Okay.
Don't remember her name.
All right.
Anyway, I got a lot of ice on my thumb that day. But they had fucking actual live lighters. This is like 1980,
I know.
82 in the back of a car.
Yeah.
Fucking Buick.
Live lighters.
No wonder
What a
Buick
weird-
ain't around anymore, right?
Right.
That's right? Like Pan Am.
Well, I feel like we kind of went back a little bit because
We
you were
did go
talking
back.
about your mom hitting you in the head. I definitely had a
Well,
spanking.
corporal punishment was more of whether it was
We
more
got spanked.
casual, like where you would get
Yeah.
like hit by a sandal
On
or
the
whatever,
butt, yeah.
or whether it was like, all right, it's time for spanking.
But I also went to a school where they did that too. They
No,
did
you didn't.
corporal-
Catholic?
Yeah,
Oh, in England.
yeah. Well, no, Catholic. There's no Catholic.
No, I know, but
schools
you
now.
were in England though.
Yeah, but it was,
I guessed Catholic, and then I remembered,
right,
England.
correct. And
Protestant,
it was there
the
was
Church of England.
definitely like got hit by a ruler.
Oh, on the knuckles?
Yeah, got that kind of stuff. I got kicked one time. That
You
was
got
a pain in
kicked
the
by
ass.
what, a
Yeah, yeah.
mule?
No, felt like it was a teacher.
You didn't
Um,
get kicked by a teacher.
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah, it is super fucked up.
That's worse than a ruler. Kicked.
yeah. Well, it was a
That's
fucked
probably
up time.
that's what
It was a
knocked your
fucked up time.
that's what knocked your accent out
I think it was
because you
fucked
don't
up.
fucking have one.
Yeah.
No one believes you're actually from
All right,
England.
All right. Well.
All
we'll
right.
have to get into
So
it. But the point
the
is
spanking
that
came up a lot.
now today, if you did any of that shit,
You're going to jail.
you're going to fucking
Yeah.
hardcore pound me in the ass
If you-
jail.
Whoa! Wow.
What movie?
It's even worse punishment. I don't know. What is
Office Space, you son
it?
of a bitch.
Okay. Sorry.
Not like country day country jail. Oh my god, fucking.
Landed it.
Nate. All right. So a bunch of people talked about the difference in discipline, whether it was that kind of thing or Melanie Vineyard says her parents do not understand how not using spanking, how spanking isn't tactic number one for discipline.
Yeah.
Hey, Catella says her parents can't believe she doesn't spank her kids.
Right.
Country Girl 1958 says they spanked and they think timeouts are crazy. You know who else thinks timeouts are crazy? This guy right here. Timeouts are useless. I think they're stupid. They don't work. I don't spank.
But what do you do?
Nothing. My kids run fucking free
Oh
like
my God.
monsters. They got no
What a
discipline.
horrible.
I tried timeouts. I just don't think they're effective.
Well, but do you put them in a place that they don't?
I put 'em in a
necessarily wanna
cage
be?
with barbed wire over the top of
Okay,
it.
well then that's how you're supposed to do
Well,
it.
I'm sick of cleaning up the blood from them grabbing
Yeah.
the barbed wire. Have you ever got stuck on barbed wire?
No,
It's fearsome looking stuff, isn't it?
no, not really.
You're not scared of barbed wire? I'm
razor
scared
wire,
of barbed
razor
wire.
wire. I am.
What the fuck is razor wire?
It's the much more
Oh,
dangerous
it's the same
version.
thing. It's
no,
the same
but
thing. It's just
It's way different. It's way more brutal. It's barbed wire is the like old timey, like
big knotted, like they're like nails.
and
at
razor
different
wire
knots.
is the stuff that like as you walk down Fifth Ave, like
It will
it's
slice
close
your-
to your head
Yeah.
as you're walking down from the fence that's falling in. You're like, oh, that's razor wire.
Well, you know what? I didn't ask about razor wire. I asked about fucking barbed
Yeah,
wire.
well, that was a good story.
It wasn't a story. It was a question. God damn it, Pete. All right, so Gordon Tribe addresses this very thing. Says, my parents would spank me with a belt when I talk back, but now if you spank your kids at all, you're abusive.
Exactly. I think
But
that's
it's even more, in many cases, I don't spank my kids. I do. Sometimes I fucking want, like when you're at the end of your rope and I'm like,
we
a
talked
spank
about
or
this.
two?
We talked
We
about this.
did months ago.
I've spanked my eldest
It's
daughter
the fear
twice, a couple
of
times.
being spanked that is the deterrent, right? Hopefully. that
Yeah,
you
I
would
mean
think.
it's a hell. I mean, sometimes there's a snap of like there's a I don't know what it is, but it just
like a Pavlovian reaction
it
to hearing
breaks.
like the noise.
there has been times where it's been so out of control. It was the one
Just
thing
like
the
hysterics is
spanking
hap-
on the
yeah.
bottom had
Just
to
a-
just control,
like an airplane where they have
Yeah.
to go down the aisle and they
Yeah,
smack the woman in the face just to
Anyway,
calm her down.
that was my particular situation. but
Culliver
whatever.
Hooker says that she thinks
Oh,
kids
colorful.
these days, yeah, she's a friend, could probably use a spanking, and I kind of agree. I don't think that's the only way.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's the only way. I don't endorse it, but it just so happened that was the.
I understand the impulse, and I think a lot of it though, like even if you don't think spanking is bad, you realize like the weight of the societal guilt, right? And you feel like I can't do it, like
Yeah,
it's too much of a thing.
it's not a good.
Not all spanking is the same. I'm sure there's like some, I'm into a little bit of it.
You know what's good?
I caught Nate off guard with that
Forehead
one.
flicking.
Forehead flicking?
Just get the
I had a teacher
I'm
who would
just
just put his index finger really hard in the crown of your head.
or
Mr. Zandri.
We would definitely, Mr. Townsend would take our ears and walk us out the door.
Oh, the ear pull, yeah. All right, so this was a fun one. I enjoyed seeing this because this happened to me. Sarah_J281 says something that used to happen that doesn't happen anymore is washing
yeah.
kids' mouths out with soap.
Yeah, totally.
God, she wishes she could get away with that. Bayonta, Baeonta, says bar of soap in the mouth. Feels like that shit probably doesn't fly anymore. And then he wonders, I'm not sure who still uses bar soap in their kitchen. Here's an even better punishment. Don't use the kitchen bar soap. Use the bar soap from the shower stall there. Guess what, kid?
Shower stall.
From the you don't have shower stalls? we have a row of shower stalls for our spray downs.
Okay.
No, from the bathroom. Imagine getting a bathroom bar of soap, one that's like in the shower caddy in your mouth. I'm just saying it's more gross.
Yeah, it is more gross.
Oh, come on. I don't like this. It's the second time we've used the word pube on this podcast, and I object.
I object too. Yeah.
All right, so Little Charmer 80, who comments a lot, and it's very, very good comments, says, my parents were strict as hell. She said, you eat what you're given or you go hungry, and you sit at the table and you sit still, and if you want to leave, you got to ask. Like, may I be excused, that kind of shit. I had that kind of stuff. Whereas today, for her parenting, she makes different food for everybody, and when they refuse to eat it, she pretends she's going to be tough and be like, this ain't a restaurant, but instead she immediately caves and gives it. Like, we're so concerned that our kids are going to go hungry, which is not going to happen, that you buckle. Yeah. And also they're up and down and they want their iPads and they act like prisoners in a riot. And I don't know that that's so much the time as she's a bad parent.
Yeah.
No offense, Little Charmer 80, but let's be honest.
No. I mean, I think that's a lot of us.
I'm even worse than that.
We do the same thing, but not.
It's hard to get them
we
to
definitely
sit down.
We don't. Every once in a while, we'll let them, like weekends. We'll do TV dinner or whatever. Let them watch TV while they eat dinner.
Like TV dinner?
Yeah, like they can watch TV while they eat dinner.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
like,
yeah.
in a
Like
different
if we're
setting.
watching a
Like,
movie,
not,
we'll be
not
like,
on
you
the
can eat at the coffee table
exactly.
with a placemat.
But normally we'll have them sit down. The difference is it's rare that actually my wife and I will sit with the kids, which is something that's definitely different from when I was growing up. My parents made all of us, or we all sat and ate dinner. And I think that's actually kind of that's a big one. That's one I think probably
like having a family dinner.
I think the most about, yeah. And
when I used to have dinner,
because it's different when there's kids sitting and eating, and they're just talking amongst each other, and
like
they're
a
like
kids
grabbing,
table.
yeah. And then it's like a kids table. It's more like a kids table. Whereas if the grown-ups are there, it's more. There's a little bit more.
Talk about our days. Give me your peaks.
Well,
and
there's
pits.
Peaks and Valley Pits and
We do
pits.
peaks and pits,
Oh.
so you get the best part of your day, your worst part of your day.
Yeah, I
Just
got
to
it.
try to coax a little conversation out of the kids.
And then but so I think that sitting together probably would be. That's something I think.
But you do most of the time. You try to.
I wish I did more.
So my big thing is when I was a
But
kid.
then immediately when it comes dinner time, like fuck it.
Yeah.
fuck
You just want to be over
everything.
with. Yeah.
Just here's your stupid
Yeah.
chicken
let's just
nuggets.
that's the problem with parenting these days. It's
Here's
just like I don't
your
have
cut-up
time for this
carrots.
shit. So my thing is, if I didn't
I
like eat
become
my
Sergeant
zucchini
Murtaugh
or my
immediately.
spinach, I had to sit at the table until I did.
Yeah.
Right. Or at least until it was long enough to be a punishment, and I had to try eating it.
Right.
And I put some on my napkin.
Everyone's
and try to put it in
going
the
to
washing
bed
machine,
now.
Try to feed it to my
Yeah,
dog. Yeah. I would like miss whatever show I wanted to watch or whatever. It would become a standoff.
Right.
I've tried to sort of do that, but you give up because I'm more than a parent. You know, I have my own life, and I want my kids to be in bed so I can experience some me time.
Do you? I will definitely. The only thing I'll do is make sure that they're not able to watch. They definitely don't watch. They'll go right
Yeah,
to
they
bed.
get no dessert.
No dessert. All
Your
that
kids
stuff.
get dessert every night, like as a rule, unless they make a mistake.
Yeah, if they,
Yeah, me too.
exactly.
I feel like I didn't. I feel like
Oh,
that
that
wasn't the same for me.
that's a
Every night?
straight carryover
I can't
from
remember.
my parenting from when I was.
I can't remember, but we
Grew
used
up
to have avocados every once in a while, and I didn't know what they were, and I thought they were gross, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't eat them. And
Okay.
now I'd be like, I wish I could go back in time and eat all those. So the other big thing we were talking about is the freedom
Yes,
that we used to have as kids, because standards were different, right? Nowadays, everything is very regimented. There was an article in the New York Times that just came out this weekend about how we ruin childhood, which is very much about how everything is regimented and structured. Kids don't have free play, and therefore kids are more
Right.
like depressed, and suicide rates are going up. This is in New York Times Magazine,
yeah,
I believe,
yeah.
or maybe on the op-ed page. It was all this bleak shit, and they're like, it's not just about screen time and lack of socialization. It is about them not having the freedom that we used to have, right? And
Right.
there's like these boutique companies that are coming up and being like, let's give these guys unstructured
More
play and
play.
all this shit,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
When I was a kid, and I'm
Yeah.
sure when you were a kid,
yeah.
you get home from school and then you're like outside for the next 4 or 5 hours. Summer, you would get up in the morning, you'd go. I used to ride my bike towns away.
Right.
Right. My parents wouldn't have any idea where I was. I didn't have a smartphone for them to track me.
Right.
I would just come back.
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
We had one family who they would ring a big bell.
But you
for their
also
kids.
came from a much larger family. Like you had like 4 brothers and 3
No, I
of them
had
disappeared
2 brothers.
and
Well,
ended
yeah,
up on milk
originally, yeah.
cartons.
But hey, you know, it's trial and error.
You know what? Trial and error. Okay,
That's why you
Timmy?
have more kids.
Yeah. Okay, Timmy.
So Sarah, who's she's commented a few times. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. Sarah, please message me and let me know. Sarah Nat said we were left outside all day without supervision. We could play at the park unsupervised. We drank out of the hose.
Yeah.
We could be left alone in the car without anybody calling Child Protective Services. And she's sad her kids will never experience the 80s and all the freedom they had. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like we can go back in time and have badass video
Well, so
games.
this is the problem, right? So child in the car. Now all we know is, there's been hundreds of children who have died in cars, and probably thousands of children.
Sure, but
have
there's
died
also
in
been a lot of
cars
parents
in
who
the
get
80s.
like reported to the police because their kids walked home from the park unsupervised.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Well, so this is interesting because I found when was it? It was like a year ago. There was probably a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, and they were walking, and there was a boy and a girl, and they're obviously brother and sister. They were holding hands, and they're walking back, and there were no parents around
to be seen, and
this
you're like, what is
This is
happening
in
here?
Brooklyn, and I'm like, I'm watching. I'm like, and I it took a moment, and you know what I did? I just did the New York thing. I just like, well, fuck those
Yeah,
people.
exactly. Not my
You know what?
problem.
They
But
fucking
the
died,
city
they
is a little
fucking
bit
died.
different, though, right? Like I grew up in the
And then
suburbs.
I ran past them.
Yeah, it's a little bit. And then
Started
you veered
crying,
into them.
And then I started crying.
It's
Next
a little
to them.
bit different
Yeah.
in the city, I
In the
think, because it
Brooklyn
just
experience.
seems a little bit inherently more dangerous.
But at the same time, I bet that they probably just went to the store or something. But a 9 and a 5-year-old, it's like, I don't know.
So JJ Love 999 says they sent my ass to the park solo after dinner every night,
Yeah.
starting at like 5 years
yeah,
old.
yeah.
Her parents wanted to some alone time. They're like, get the fuck out.
You know what? Suburbs. For sure we did that when we would come and we'd visit my grandparents. We would
You
go
go
to the
outside.
park.
That's what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
did. Like
And
when
that
you
was the
lived in
best
like
part.
a
That was in the
cul-de-sac
summer.
or like a neighborhood,
Yeah, that was the
and there's
best
a
part.
bunch of kids around, and it was kind of an unspoken rule. You'd all be outside playing stickball or riding your bikes.
The problem is that J.J Love 99 went on to say that it was in the middle of winter.
That's
this
true,
would
yeah,
happen,
and she
that was-
lost some of her limbs
Exactly.
from the frostbite. California, Arkansas said in the summer at like 10 years old, she'd be outside playing in the street until 1 a.m. That's outrageous. Not just because it's more dangerous at 1 a.m., but like
What do
you need more sleep. than that at 10. You don't need to be up at 1.
Yeah.
What's going on at 1 anyway in your neighborhood, in the burbs, in Arkansas and or California? Again, I'm not entirely clear the trajectory of her life. We need some more information, California, Arkansas. I also want to know why you didn't just do the 1A in the middle. So California and Arkansas were kind of, they merged. There's both A's. So it's California fully spelled, Arkansas fully spelled. It bothered me when I was transcribing this. It's the kind of thing I think about. So Allie Fraser 921 says when she was nervous when she was a kid and she was nervous about walking a couple of blocks home by herself in 2nd grade, her mom just told her to follow some other kid who lived in the neighborhood. She's like, is it even legal these days for an 8-year-old to walk home alone?
There you go.
Depends on where you live. So there's this whole movement, free range parenting, which comes down really hard. There's a woman who started a whole thing about it. Comes down very hard on like these communities that will arrest a parent for letting their kids walk home from the park.
Well, times
have changed.
That's different. Is when you have someone who's nervous imposing, like,
yes,
like,
well,
if,
she's reversing
well, for example, the 2 kids I'd seen, if I had kind of followed them back and then like made a scene, that would have been probably pretty sweet. But I didn't do that.
But no one likes their other kids to be parented by somebody else either, right? So there's a lot of issues there where you're just going to be like annoyed. But also hindsight's 2020, right?
This is why I'm saying phones and or the equivalent. Literally, you can put a bloody tile in your kid. Like little like. Lose your.
You weren't saying an actual like a bloody bathroom towel. You're saying one of those bloody because you were from England.
Yeah,
so you're saying
I'm just
bloody,
saying like a little
tile,
a
fucking
tile
that helps you track
like
things.
Like
I have
Bluetooth
one of those.
tracker.
Yeah,
you can put it on. And
I was given one of those by my dad a couple Christmases ago, and ironically, I lost it immediately. I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So. And then some of the stuff. So we got past safety and discipline, and then we want to talk about some of the trends that
all right, let's get
our
into
parents
this.
think is absurd.
This is a big one for me.
Oh, this is absurd.
Right.
I can't believe you think this is a big one.
I think it's a big one.
Okay.
All right.
Hit it.
I just want to pose a question out there for everyone. Imagine calling your
own
parents,
parents.
your own parents, either themselves by their first name and or their friends by the first name.
But I can understand calling your parents friends by their first name.
You would throw up in your mouth. Are you kidding me?
No kid calls their parent by their first name, so that's a fucking paper tiger.
First
it's
of all,
a straw man argument.
Well, my kids do it all the time.
Your kids call you Pete.
Yeah, just to fuck around.
Well, that's because you apparently are ranting about this at all times. This and why school years aren't the same in every fucking location.
I'm usually ranting about complicated shoes that they're wearing. So the problem is these kids now call everyone that I know, all kids, hey, Peter, can we do this? And
this galls you.
Here's why. Because now what happens is when you take away that structure, so if there's a whole languages have a whole structure as to what you address people you don't know them as.
Languages have structure.
Like French and whatnot. So
and whatnot.
The point being is if you call someone by an adult by their same name as a kid,
yes,
that puts them on the same level.
It's just fucking dogs and cats living together. It'll be anarchy. What are you talking about?
I'm saying
you're saying this leads to like a societal collapse.
Not a collapse.
If children don't respect their elders.
Not a
collapse. That's essentially what this comes down to.
No, it comes down to these kids not fucking sitting down when I'm saying, can you sit down and eat?
Hold on.
Because they're like, okay, whatever, Pete. And
so I struggle with this. The thing where like your kids call you by your first name is not something that happens, except maybe until high school when your kids start to be like smart asses and do that kind of thing and get a little bit older. Kids calling your friends like other adults that aren't their parents by their first name. The way we typically get around this, and this is clumsy, is you start to call all your friends like Aunt
Mom,
Rory, like our friend Rory, not your actual aunt.
Right.
We're close friends, so that's cool. But then all of a sudden it becomes like every friend. What do you do?
Or like Mommy
you treat her like a
Joni
teacher,
or Daddy
or like
Jo-
Miss. You treat like a teacher, like Miss Meredith or whatever.
But you don't do that.
Or
though.
the kid goes up to you and he's like, "Oh, Alice's mom." You know,
no,
what do you
but
say? You learn their last name, and you're supposed to say,
no. I'm saying I don't. Our kids don't do this.
Mrs. Miniver, can I go out to the playground with your daughter? What?
No, they don't say that. They go, Sarah, can I go to play with Greg? And
That's her name, though, right? Her name is Sarah?
It is, but the point is it's like they're not saying, oh, Mrs. Sarah or whatever. They're not doing the teacher thing.
I don't think this is a big deal.
I think it's
we're
weird.
We're going to put up a poll.
I don't know.
It is a little weird. 90210.
I can't tell how it's going to
Brandon started to call his parents Jim and Cindy like during high school or college, and it was fucking weird. And I'm like, this guy's a douchebag because he was a pretentious goof.
Let me put it a different way.
Let's talk about 90210 some more, please.
I would never have called any of my parents friends by their first name.
I still call my parents friends by their first. They're like Mr. and Mrs. Amato or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. I would have never called any of my parents' friends by their first name. However, all of my kids know all of my friends by their first name.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the problem. I find it weird that now I'm in my 40s and I can't call my fucking dad's best friend George. I got to call him fucking Mr. Amato because it's really hard to fucking ditch that. Like, once you have done that, it's hard to feel like you're on their level. I don't know, man.
Well, I don't know. That's the thing. Is like, well, but that is...
You have some weird axes to grind, is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't know about that. I think that there's...
some weird hills to die on.
I believe that that really separates the difference between...
That's why kids are so
the
lawless.
Kids as a friend and your parents as your friend, or parents as an adult, or what? Like, it mixes it up a little bit.
You know what? I'm gonna pull it. I'm gonna be like, you know what? Is the reason that the economy is failing because young kids?
Now let's get into the
call
next
adults
issue.
by their first names.
Some old man yelling at a cloud.
Yeah, exactly.
The complicated issues. Trust me, Nate. Just
all right.
wait.
So here's
here's
random
another
trends. Oh, you want to talk about
yeah.
this dumb water thing? Okay.
Water. When did water become a thing?
What do you mean?
Everyone has to have a water bottle now.
This is a situation where we were
Everyone
dumb about
needs
water.
Really?
We were dumb about it. It's essential
I'd
to
go
health.
Find a tap. I'd turn it on and I'd drink. I know. Now, because everyone has their water bottle. Where's the water bottle? I don't know. Did you wash the water bottle? I don't know. Did you wash the water bottle? I don't know. Where's the water bottle? She left the water bottle.
You have fucking mental problems.
Fucking water bottles.
I agree with you that
Fuck this.
The water bottle trend
I'm going back in
has
time
exploded,
machine.
But I don't think that's a negative. There you go. That's my whole fucking piece. You're crazy.
That's because you don't know anything about parenting.
Well, I never said I did.
All right.
You know what? I'm not an expert. Just doing my best.
Here to complain.
Right.
Anyway,
so all right.
I can't believe
we're going to talk about some stuff people actually care about. So Bentini80 said that she was never allowed to sleep in her parents' bed, and her mom thinks it's nuts that she lets her kids sleep with us. But she says it's all about survival. So I was out with my brother and his wife a couple weekends ago. They have a 1.5-year-old and they have a second kid on the way. Yep. And I was talking about how co-sleeping is fucking legitimately destroying my life. Yeah. And my older kid does it, and now my younger kid has gotten hooked, and we've totally fucked up. It's fucking terrible. We ruined it. We blew it.
Okay. But you have time to change it.
We do, especially with the toddler.
Weeks.
Yeah. We have time to change it. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it's all about consistency for a short period of time. Whatever. Just saying.
All right.
The only time I was ever in my parents' bed as a kid is if I had like a nightmare. Right.
Yeah.
Or if I like fell out of bed, which would happen. I used to have one of those bed guards because sometimes I would fall out of bed up until I was like 16. Just kidding. But the sleep trend thing, or the sleep training, somebody else mentioned, Veronica Quigg said sleep training. Her mom laughed so hard at the idea of sleep training until she babysat. And then she was like, K. I don't have any more context about that. So I don't know what her mom realized. Like the baby was probably getting up every 2 seconds. You know, or the toddler's probably getting out of bed every 2 seconds and realized, wait, we needed to do some shit. I don't know what's happened to kids like physiologically that has changed it. Yeah. I don't know what parents did back in the day. I think it was just we're just firmer. We're looser now. We're softer, so that we're more likely to let a kid sleep in the bed.
Are you describing a mattress?
It's just I think we're just less likely to be strict with our kids than parents used to be. And I think when it comes to sleep training, you fuck up your situation. The 1 or 2 times you give in, it becomes a trend.
I'm actually interested. I'd love to know if there's anyone who is older, who's gone through this, who was back in the day doing this, being like, yeah, it was a horrible pain in the ass, and I wish I had sleep training. Because sleep training obviously came from somewhere. Well, it made sense at some time, and then all of a sudden, everyone realized, wait, this is a horrible piece of shit.
So you're saying the sleep training used to make sense, and now it doesn't?
I'm saying there was
anti-sleep training.
I'm saying there was probably a good reason for why sleep training became a thing.
Yeah.
Because everyone was miserable and was probably a solution, and then it became a problem. The kid was perfectly solved.
So you tried to solve one solution,
and you everything up.
Created a monster. So Q1372 says he hates sleep training.
Tight handle.
What a load of crap. Way to psychologically damage your kids. I object to that premise. I don't think cry it out, which I did with my kids, is psychologically damaging. It worked. for both my kids, especially when they were younger, to sleep through the night when they were babies.
Well, is that specifically what he means by sleep training versus co-sleeping?
I'm assuming. No. Sleep training, I'm assuming, which is where you let your kid cry it out until they pass out. Right. They need to learn how to self-soothe and regulate. Right. It's a fucking thing your doctors would tell you. There's a sorts of studies that will say it's problematic. There's studies that say it won't. I'm sure somebody's going to fucking message me with the NPR thing and it's bad for your kids. My kids are fine. They're psychologically abused in other ways, okay? Right. I handle it in other ways.
You take care of that abuse in a very specific way.
It wasn't the sleep training that did it to him. It's the other stuff that I do, okay? So Ken Monkern, somebody I know on Twitter, because I mentioned something about new school year is starting and I'm going to be meeting like my new kids' classmates' parents. Right. And I'm like, I hope I get along with them. And he was like, we never met kids' parents. What a nightmare. I think like being involved in your school and like going to the school and like meeting everybody is a thing that there's like back to school nights, meet the teacher. It used to be just like the fucking bus comes, you're there, parent teacher conference once every 3 months. Exactly. He was like, what a nightmare that would have been. Stanford Mommy, who's a friend of mine online on Instagram, says that her mother-in-law thinks she's nuts for having kids' schedules.
What do you mean?
She says if the baby doesn't nap, we're all screwed, right? Which is like the going home if the baby's tired or making sure the baby has to be napped from like 3 to. We've talked about this before where like you can skip the baby's nap. It's a bad time for everybody a lot of the time. And every once in a while you do it. But like being tethered to your house because the baby has to sleep. Stanford Mommy's mother-in-law, I think, was just like, who gives a fuck about the baby?
Well,
we're doing our thing.
But there's two ways to look at it, right? There are those that will not. There are no exceptions, meaning we're in the middle of something
think that's lame,
and we have to stop it immediately and we have to go home and nap this kid versus like, okay, well, like every once in a while, like they're normally like every normal Saturday or Monday or whatever, every normal day, this is when the kid goes to sleep. This is when they wake up. So this is just
you got to make some exceptions.
Yeah, of course. It's fine.
Case by case basis.
And by the way, also it's like, it's a case by case basis. So
Sonia, Colorado art mom, and this is shocking to me, says her partner is very involved, but her father thinks that her partner should work more and parent less.
You know what?
You don't often hear that take these days.
Make that money.
Get this guy out of the house.
Get that money.
It's a mom's work to be the parent.
Money.
It's a very kind of 1950s attitude where like, hey, look, I'm working. You stay at home. I'm treating you. You have your nice life at home in the house that I provide for you and all this shit. And I'm the man bringing home the bacon. Yeah. This is my 3 sons. Exactly. No, he doesn't even have a wife.
2 dads. So
father knows best. He doesn't either. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
No,
I Love Lucy. Was she a housewife?
She's okay.
She had some misadventures trying to be a working woman.
But
I remember the factory, the assembly line episode. Who doesn't?
No one does. So
Nate has no idea what I'm talking about.
When we first had our oldest daughter, one of the first anecdotes our friend Tim's dad said was, I've changed a few diapers in my time.
You told this story 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
You know what? You need to start keeping notes. You have Alzheimer's? You're younger than me.
Great. That's fine. The point being, it's very apt for this point.
Sure, yes,
the point is, older folks took pride, or not took pride, but almost was like, well, I changed
it was normal
kids
for
too.
them.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you got.
He was impressed by the fact that he changed a handful of diapers.
Handful of diapers. My God.
You know what? And that's why Tim's so fucking messed up these days. Our friend Tim.
Yeah, it's not good.
Ginger.
Still wearing diapers.
He is still wearing diapers. They both are.
All right.
So Sonia, Colorado Armand brings up one of the biggest changes, which is screen time. Although, look, the prevalence of technology and screen time and all that stuff.
I watch a lot of TV.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. When I was a kid, I'd get up on Saturday mornings and I'm watching TV. I get home from school. I'm watching fucking Saved by the Bell, Scooby-Doo, depending on my age. Right. 3 to 6, 3 to 7, Got a lot of it. Now it's
17,
different.
Whatever.
And to be honest, I feel like playing video games is better than passively watching TV. Hand-eye coordination, problem-solving, critical thinking, all that shit. But it's just so prevalent that we get nervous and we project a little bit because we're on our phones so much.
Well, I think any of these social games like Roblox is a nightmare. But
there's lots of pitfalls with the social games where you need to block the messaging because there's some
serious mother.
Yeah, some serious mothers out there.
All
right. So the last couple of things we want to talk about. The question is whether all the coddling that we do now. So Daydreamer Leah says the coddling is making our kids grow up to be wimps, right? Whereas we used to be kind of have a lot more freedom. We're not being monitored as much. Nothing's being scheduled as much. We're not being like picked up when we fall every 2 seconds. Parents are very concerned about being good parents and raising like safe kids. Is it making our children wimpy? I don't know if it's making kids wimpy. I think maybe it's stifling a little bit of independence and self-sufficiency. I think that's
Yeah.
probably definitely a thing.
Yeah.
Like my 8-year-old, I could probably do more on my own
Well, first of all, it's
when
our
I was a kid than he can.
it's our job to fuck these kids up.
It is.
How else are they gonna write the best
Well,
songs? How else are they gonna become these artists? out there?
Exactly. And well,
You're
what if they're
doing
not artists?
First of all, you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. Wow,
Really.
you know what?
I'm expecting some
That means a
big
lot
things.
to me. That means a lot to me.
On the other hand, my lazy kids, god damn, everything handed to them.
So Check Your Kids at the Door says that his dad was completely hands off and all about himself. And it's like a lot of this is, I think this is a good point. He was like, I never intended to be that way. So it's like it's a corrective
Right.
to the way his dad was. And I
Yeah.
think that's some of it.
Do you do so?
Like Tim's dad was so hands off that now
right.
Tim is a helicopter.
Right.
I'm not saying he is, but I'm saying that
Yeah, yeah,
generationally sometimes this happens
Well,
where
that's
you're
what-
like,
yeah.
I'm stepping it up now because I don't want to have a childhood like I had or a dad like I had.
Right.
I want to be better than that.
Do you have that? Do you have something that you're like, I'm gonna do something?
No, I had a
specifically
really
different?
like well-adjusted childhood, and my parents were good.
Huh.
My mom was a homemaker, but my dad wasn't like Don Draper. I wasn't like making him drinks and he was ignoring me. Like he was involved, not as involved as I am. But of course, I'm unemployed at home all the time, right? I'm not even bringing home any bacon or cooking it because I'm not a good cook.
But what?
I'm not doing much at all. Let's be honest.
Yeah, like I will say that, I think for me it's just about being a little bit more relatable to my kids, like just having more fun with them.
Well, you want to be their friend.
I don't want to
It's
be
gonna
their
backfire
friend.
up your
I don't
ass.
want to be their friend.
So Bentini80 says one last thing. Says my parents always sided with the teacher no matter what.
You know what?
Adults side with adults.
You know what?
Nowadays, it's like
You
blood
know
is
what?
thicker than water.
That's such a
Closing
that
ranks. I thought that
fucking
was an interesting point.
Bentini 80, you
Like if
nailed
there's
it.
a conflict at school, the kids are much more apt to be like, "I'll fucking lawyer up on the school's ass," right? I've seen Big Little Lies.
Do you know that that's actually a big one that my parents would always do? I'd be like, "Oh, this teacher sucks," and she'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
They give the adults the benefit of the
she'd
doubt.
Say, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not fucking doing anything. This guy's like a psychopath, and he's like talking about shit no one understands, and then he's like,
But they're like, "You're a
And they're
child.
like-
You don't understand."
exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Which is true.
I always really fucking hated that. So
Well, look, you were a kid. Look, it's not
I know, but I
always
still hate it.
correct. The teacher's not always right, but in a lot of cases, most cases, adults do know more than kids. You got to trust your kids. Hashtag believe women. But
what
I'm just joking. I'm just saying you got to listen to the victims. But kids are apt to be dramatic and complain, and a lot of times it's bullshit.
So this is a good example. My oldest daughter is now in middle school, so she came home and she's had a couple experiences with teachers. Her computer teacher, for example, she's like, I don't understand. Like this, she's not getting a very good grade in computers, which is
there's the heart of the problem.
Yeah, exactly. But she was actually saying the teacher talks way too fast. Or she's trying to ask questions. The teacher says, "Don't worry, like get it out. Like you figure it out later." And I listened. I was like, "Yeah, that really sounds like."
It sounds
I
valid.
went in to meet with this
This
teacher.
is your oldest.
Yeah, because I was like, I'm gonna go in and find out. It turns out that they have like.
Was the teacher the machine man?
No, the teacher was not a great. Was totally as my daughter said.
You get him fired?
Her.
You got her fired?
No, I got her promoted.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Just
to
get her out of her hair.
chancellor. Yeah, you know
right?
what?
Everybody wins.
Peter principle.
Oh
Okay.
my God. All right.
All
Well,
right,
I think we
go-
covered everything, as we say.
I
Pete,
feel good.
you have not pointed at the camera frequently enough.
I'm gonna point at you.
I'm sweating my ass off again.
This is how we do it, though.
This is how we do it.
All right, and with that, we want to say thank you
Thank
for
you
listening.
for all the commenters. Check us out, subscribe, leave us a review. If you want to throw us some cash on Patreon,
love you guys.
we would love it very much. But we really want you guys to engage and interact. This thing
Please.
would not go without you. All of these comments
Yep.
were from actual real people. We didn't make up any of them.
Yep.
You made up some
I
weird.
made up
You have
someone.
some. You made up a few.
Yeah.
You have some weird. Some
get,
of your weird shit.
get that sex offender app.
I want to.
get
I
into
should
it.
get that app.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I want to get sponsored by that
.net.
sex offender app.
No.
Nothing be better. The Dad and Buried podcast, sponsored by a sex offender app.
sounds
And I'm
about
gonna
right.
put up a poll at some point about
Water bottles.
is kids who call adults by
Oh,
their
yeah.
first names a societal
That's a good one.
problem. It is not a good one. No one cares.
That's a great one.
Um,
Okay,
but
everybody.
we'll see what you think. But thanks for joining us this week.
See you next time.
I don't know why you would still be watching This Isn't a Marvel movie, no matter how much I look like Paul Rudd, which you can deny it all you want. It's there in the eyes, I think. I'm young looking like him. If you enjoyed the podcast, which you obviously did or you wouldn't be listening still, sign up on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you want to listen to. Comment here on YouTube, subscribe, hit that like button. We want to hear from you. Comments, questions, dirty jokes, money, all the money you can give us. We'd love it all. Catch you next time.